My name is George Fraser. I am the CEO and co-founder of Fivetran. Fivetran is a product that replicates all of your data from all of your systems of record into your data warehouse or data lake. We've been around for a little over 10 years. There's about 7,000 companies who use us. A lot of technology startups who are earlier customers. So if you throw a rock in this room, you'll probably hit a Fivetran customer. We've traditionally been identified with data warehouses like Snowflake and Redshift, but we're doing more and more business replicating data to data lakes. There's a lot of exciting things happening in data lakes right now, as I imagine people in this room know. I'm going to assume everybody's familiar with table formats and Iceberg in particular. Is there anybody here who's not? How many people are not familiar with Iceberg? Okay. Oh, one. Okay. Not familiar. Well, okay. So table formats are basically a way to store relational data in object storage, like S3. So you can have what is fundamentally, logically, a data warehouse without having to choose Snowflake or Databricks or Redshift or BigQuery up front. You can have like a vendor-neutral database sitting in object storage for analytics purposes. And so Fivetran has been doing a lot of work over the last 2 years to enable people to set up data lakes and make it just as easy as setting up traditional data warehouses. So traditional data warehouses historically have been much easier to use than data lakes. Data lakes, you need to like hire a team. There's just a lot that goes into setting up and operating a functioning data lake. But that has really changed, even in the last 6 months. We're getting to a place where building and using data lakes is just as easy as using commercial data warehouses. So I mean, our goal of what we call our Fivetran Managed Data Lake service is that it has all the characteristics that you love about data warehouses. The data just shows up on its own. It's ready to query. It's in an appropriate schema. It is a snapshot consistent replica of the source. But it also has everything you love about data lakes. They're cost effective. They're future proof. So if you change your mind in the future about how you want to query your data, you can do that. And everything you love about Fivetran. Fivetran, we really live and breathe ease of use. So the data, you're going to connect your source, connect your destination, and all the details of how the data gets there are in the background. And we will do things like, if the schema changes, we will go change the schema in the destination. If there are updates in the source, we will actually go and like do surgery on these Parquet files so that you see the update in the destination. Different people have different point of views about this, but our view is that just writing like a log of everything that happened is not a good solution. Among other things, like logs, in reality, change logs do not look at all like people imagine they do. They are much messier. They have missing information where you have to go back to the database in order to get it. So not only is it not a good goal, but it's not even really possible to write a comprehensible change log into the destination when you get into the sort of evil corner cases. So we do it the Fivetran way. You see a mirror image of your source in your destination. And more recently, we've built native catalog integration. So data lakes, there's the files that contain the data, there's the files that contain the metadata, and then there's one more thing. You have this thing called a catalog, which gives you basically a reference to what's the latest version. And we've actually added native catalog support so that you get like a fully functioning stack from Fivetran out of the box. And so now I am actually going to jump out of the slides, and we're going to set it up. So, what's more fun than actually doing it live, right? It really is that fast. The fastest I've been able to do this is like 8 minutes. So let's do it. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to set up a Fivetran account. And that's right on our front page, right there. There's me. I work at Fivetran. I'm going to select this so that you're assigned to the correct BDR. And I'm going to create a new account right here. I'm in the United States. I'm not going to enter my phone. Okay. And then I just have to do a quick email verification. Come on. Oh, it's in primary. There we go. All right. All right. All right. You agree to sell your soul to Fivetran. Thank you very much. All right, so there's nothing here for I am presenting at Data Council. All right. Funny thing is, this is some sort of A/B test because I didn't see that when I signed up last time. Okay, so it's going to ask you what you intend to set up, and I'm going to say Google Sheets. And then we're going to go in here. All right, let's go. So it's going to drop me right into the Google Sheets setup guide here. And I'm going to call this my sheet. So I need to set up something to replicate, right? And the reason I chose Google Sheets, super easy data source to set up. So I'm going to go over to Google Sheets, make one. I'm going to call this Data Council. All right, and I'm going to make a little tiny table that we're going to put into our data lake. Cool. Hello, Data Council. All right, so the way the Fivetran Google Sheets connector works is it works off of named ranges. So you need named ranges to tell it where to look for your table. So I'm just going to call it Fivetran range. Anything starting with Fivetran will do. And then we're going to need to grant Fivetran access to the data. There's actually two ways to do it for some reason, but I like this way. Probably because this is the mechanism that I implemented when I actually wrote the Google Sheets connector in its original version many years ago. And it's still actually mostly the same code, I think. Here we go. So I'm going to share it with Fivetran here. There's a service account in here, which is unique to your account, which is actually very important because of this thing called the confused deputy problem, which, it's not a talk about security, so we won't get into that. All right. And then I'm going to give it the URL. And find it. Please work. There we go. Select my named range. Fivetran Cloud Processing Provider. I'm actually going to select AWS here, just in case it matters. Okay. All right, so we're connected to our source, but we haven't done anything with data lakes yet. And we are going to set up S3 data lake. And in order to do that, I'm going to go and create a bucket in AWS. All right. This is our test account, not our prod account. So don't judge if it's very messy. This is the point of this account, is you can just have all kinds of random stuff in it. So I'm going to go over to S3, and I'm going to make a bucket. That's where I'm going to store my data lake. And I'm going to call this Data Council Lunch. All right. Create bucket. And then there's going to be a couple of steps. And I swear to you, we have made these steps as small as possible. It cannot be any better than this. So I made the bucket, and then I'm going to make a policy to allow Fivetran to access this bucket, right? So that's this guy right here. We all love AWS IAM and their giant JSON blobs. Here we go. All right. And the first thing I need to do is I make a policy. All right. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to create a policy. The JSON view. I'm going to give access to the entire bucket here. So there's going to be no prefix. And the bucket is going to be Data Council Lunch. If anyone sees me make a mistake typing something, tell me, okay? You are all encouraged. If there's any typos, just yell at me. I'm sure you've all seen these things before. Okay, I think I got, there's 3 places you have to edit. prefix, resource, and then resource again. All right, and I'm going to call this data council lunch policy. And so what this does is this is a policy that says whoever has access to this policy can just basically do whatever they want with this S3 bucket. And you can limit it to a prefix if you really want to. And then the next thing you have to do is you actually have to say Fivetran is allowed to use this policy to access this data lake. We're not going to set up any external catalogs right now, so we're skipping this step. We're going to use the built-in catalog inside Fivetran, but you can also write the metadata to many other catalogs. The second security step and the last one is we have to grant Fivetran's account access to this bucket. So we're going to need Fivetran's account ID right here. And so we create a role. We say we want someone else's AWS account to be able to access. You must check this box. Please check this box. I can't believe AWS allows you not to check that box. If you don't check that box, then literally anyone else can sign up for Fivetran and access your data lake. This is that same confused deputy problem I mentioned earlier. It's everywhere when you are a data ETL vendor. So yes, whether it's us or somebody else, please always fill in the external ID. All right, and that is the account ID for the account that I just generated. There's a fun story about how those account IDs are generated, but that's not for today. All right, and the permission I'm going to give it is data council lunch policy. And I'm going to call this data council lunch role. All right. So what this says is Fivetran is allowed to access this bucket as long as it is acting on behalf of this account, just in case you're curious. That's what that does, is it says Fivetran is allowed to access my bucket, but only if they're acting on behalf of me, not if they're acting on behalf of someone else. That's how AWS S3 permissions work. So that's the second and last step for granting access to it. As I said, we are not going to use the AWS. We're not going to set up any other catalogs right now. We're going to use the built-in catalog. And I do need to enter the bucket info. So it's called Data Council Lunch. Interesting that that was not taken. You know, it is a global namespace. Oh, and I need that role arn right here. This guy. So that goes right here. And there's no prefix, and the region of our test account is US West 2. All right, there's a couple other options. It's like, hey, how often should Fivetran let old data sit around before it cleans it up? There's some stuff about where the data gets processed. I'm missing something here. What am I missing? Come on. What did I not do? Oh, I do need a prefix, yeah. So I granted access to the entire bucket, but I have to put the data lake somewhere, right? So this is going to be my data lake. All right, there we go. So a lot is happening in the background right now. We are making sure that we can access the bucket and read and write files. But then we are also spinning up a Polaris catalog. Polaris is this thing created by Snowflake. It is an implementation of the Iceberg REST API spec. It provides the last sort of piece of the data lake pyramid. If the bottom of the pyramid is the files that actually contain the data, and then the next level are these metadata files that basically say like, hey, this table consists of all of these Parquet files together. Then there's another layer of metadata files that basically represent the snapshot of the table where you can have, you know, you edit the table, you get a new snapshot. Then the last thing you need is you need a catalog that points to the latest version of every table. And so we actually just stood that up in the background as this was happening. All right, so I did that right, so it is working. And now we need to unpause our connector. So we have a fully functioning Fivetran account now. And I'm saying, okay, please sync my data to my data lake. And that should only take like a moment. And then we're going to want to query it, right? The data lakes, once you make them, they sit there. You can like gaze at them, know that you have them, but somehow you have to do something with the data, right? You have to you have to actually go and query it. And the super cool thing that is now possible to do is we can query this data from DuckDB. We can query it from lots of places, but one of those places is DuckDB. And I can query it right from my laptop. So if I go and look at my destination here, there is some info about how to do that. So under this catalog integration tab, there are instructions. These are the basic characteristics of the catalog that we just set up. So this is the Polaris server that Fivetran created in the background, right? That hosts that tells you basically how to find the data. Oh, and it does one other very important thing, is it mediates access. So it gives you these short-lived tokens to read from S3, and just to read the tables that you have permission to access, right? So the Polaris catalog, it does basically table level permissioning. And so there's instructions. Here's how you can query this thing from Snowflake. Here's how you can query this thing from Spark. And here's how you query this thing from DuckDB. So let's do that. So we're going to go right over here. And this is basically a SQL script, right? And I am going to, AI is hopefully like, maybe you want to do something else. Where's my terminal? Start up DuckDB. You need to have a recent version. So I have 1.2.2, which is the latest stable version. And I'm going to load this. This extension was just merged last week. Thank you, Hans. That has the latest stuff we need to talk to Iceberg catalogs. And then we're going to load these extensions. Whoops, I just did the same thing twice. All right, hopefully that doesn't break it. Okay, and then this right here, these are the credentials, the actual secrets for talking to this data lake. If you can type really fast, you can go query it too. Don't worry, there's nothing in that bucket. So right here, we're telling DuckDB how to access. Oh, come on. Hold on a second. Let me look at my little template here. I think. I'm going to use this version. I think the version that is displaying in our UI has something wrong with it. All right, there's my secret. And then this is the second part of that command. And I don't want land inappropriate. I want this guy. Please work. All right, let's see if we can see our table. Yes, all right, there it is. Okay, so what just happened is DuckDB called up the Polaris catalog, and it said, tell me all the tables that exist in this thing. And I discovered, hey, there's one table, my catalog, Google Sheets, my sheet. And now I'm going to query it. What, did I make a typo? Someone yelling at me? Thank you. So helpful having an audience. All right. Come on. Shit. That's very disappointing. Something's wrong with the credentials. What is going on here? This is truly the curse of demos. I swear this worked. Oh, no, wait. This is the client ID. Yeah. This is the client's secret. Try it one more time. They may have actually changed it. Some of this stuff is very bleeding edge. When I ran this yesterday, you did not need the AWS region. The fact that it's talking to the catalog says that it is working. But you might be right. You might be right. Let's just try the select star one more time. And then if that doesn't work, I'm going to put the region on there. Oops. All right, let's try the region, and then we're giving up. I don't, yeah. Just gonna throw this in here. No. Yeah, that syntax is wrong. There's no region. All right. I swear to God, it worked yesterday. Something has changed in the create secret syntax, like literally today. I have a recording showing something being queried here. Let's look at what's in the data lake real quick. First of all, let's make sure Fivetran actually finished syncing. Yeah, so it's synced. If we go and look inside this bucket, you can see we created the whole folder structure. We actually write both Iceberg and Delta metadata in here. So this is the Iceberg metadata. These are like the latest snapshots, which are basically lists of Parquet files. And then the Parquet file that is in here, this actually has the data in it. And DuckDB being DuckDB, we can actually just download that damn file and say, so if the Iceberg extension had not made some subtle change today, as far as I can tell, this is what we would have seen, except not without these metadata columns. I know actually those are there too. Those are there too. So this is the data that Fivetran wrote from that Google sheet. In the background, we, like I said, we created a data lake. We set up the catalog. We wired it all together. And when you do updates, we will actually go and edit the Parquet files. That's a really unusual decision that Fivetran has made in how we implemented our data lake. Fivetran data lake works the same as everything else in Fivetran. We push updates and upserts and everything else through to the destination. So what you get is always a mirror image of your source. You can turn on history mode, and then we will preserve all the old row versions so you can see the whole history of how everything evolved, but it's technically a type 2 history table, which matches the schema of the original source with a couple extra columns for keeping track of changes. The goal of Fivetran Data Lake is to make it possible to make it really easy to set up this whole stack, and then to allow you to connect in every system you want to use with this data lake. So you should be able to connect Snowflake, you should be able to connect Databricks, you should be able to connect the whole AWS ecosystem, you should be able to connect things that haven't been invented yet. You should be able to connect BI tools, and that's the really profound change that data lakes are unlocking, is that everyone, every participant in the stack is like a co-equal member of the ecosystem. You don't all have to go through one SQL engine in order to get to the data. You can. Those same data warehouses we know and love are still going to have a super important role in this ecosystem, but you have the option of doing other topologies. And over time, what's going to happen is more and more vendors integrate directly into data lakes, as Fivetran has. We're just going to see this like Cambrian explosion of workflows, and ultimately, I think a lot of cost savings for customers, and for large companies, a lot of future-proofing and flexibility. At large companies, often it is not possible to convince everyone to adopt the exact same system, but a data lake can give you a base layer of the system that you can get everyone behind. There is some other stuff here about actually writing back to this data lake with a DBT extension that's still quite new, but we wrote a DBT extension that allows you to write DBT models back to Iceberg data lake with DuckDB. And I just want to comment one more thing, and then I want to take questions because I'm sure people have them. The way this works behind the scenes is there's actually a special service inside Fivetran called the Data Lake Writer. It's a really creative name, I know. We actually have a rule at Fivetran that you have to give everything boring names for reasons that I won't explain right now. And that does a bunch of things. One, it pushes all the edits through to the data lake, and it actually is powered by DuckDB internally. So when that Google Sheet was synced to the destination, it was actually a little DuckDB worker that wrote that file. And when you make edits, we go and we generate a DuckDB query. We partition the problem when you have large tables. For this table, it has one row. It would be one partition. For a giant table, we could have thousands of partitions. And each little DuckDB worker takes a subset of those Parquet files. It generates a query that reads them in, applies all the edits to them, spits them back out. Then we update the Iceberg metadata, the Delta metadata. We update all the catalogs, and then that all pushes through to the query side of the system. We're very excited about it. We think it's really the future. I think soon it will be the default path that even if you set up a traditional destination inside Fivetran, we will actually introduce that layer of indirection. So you will get a data lake with your destination wired in on top of that, just so that if in the future you want to switch destinations, you want to connect something else, you will be 5 seconds away from doing that because the data is all being maintained in this vendor neutral format. And with that, I would love to take questions.